It's time to go racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Welcome everyone live here at IMS and around the world watching on MotoAmerica Live Plus MotoAmerica Stock 1000. It's their one and only race this weekend as they have taken the grid. Most have taken the grid. I'm Robbie Floyd, joined with Roger Lee Hayden at the racing capital of the world. Roger, I think you just identified somebody not on that grid. Is that Max Girardo?
Yeah, it looked like from here somebody in the second row in the middle was missing, so maybe they didn't make that. We've seen it a couple times this year. Some people's missed the sighting lap.
Second row middle would be Mesa. We'll have to figure it out. They come down that front straightaway, so we're looking for the 141 and the 37.
I did see Mesa.
Okay. Again, they had qualifying all the way up till this, to today, this morning. We've been having everything up till this point. Have been qualifying in practice, taking a look from the Lucas Oil helicopter. Actually, the Stock 1000s finished their qualifying yesterday. Here's a look at your starting grid on that front row. Cam Peterson with the fastest time, 1.3 seconds faster than the BMW of Travis Wyman. Corey Alexander next to him, and there's that second row, a fast second row at that. Looking back through the field, Alex Dumas is signed up for the list, or signed up for the Stock 1000. I saw him out there with the Honda Superbike class. I don't know that I've seen him practice really with the Stock 1000.
He's been out there, but he's kind of struggled a little bit yesterday. This is his first race back from injury after hurting his elbow. And I did talk to him this morning. He says he feels a lot better today in the Superbike practice. He was a lot quicker than he was yesterday.
Danilo Lewis, the Brazilian. Corey Heflin out there. Find your favorite rider. Josh Gerardo, Delipsky back with us again. And Mauricio Hidalgo on the 22 in an international field in the Stock 1000. Actually, number 69. I should have known that. Nicky Hayes' number out of Argentina. Starting in 22nd place, Robert Luce Jr. Yeah, I was mentioning earlier with Jonathan Green is that red's hopefully going to turn to green. Now, you talk about an international field that's in our pack, Roger. I mean, everywhere from Canada to South Africa to Argentina to Brazil, Germany, Uruguay, Mexico. It is a full international field here today. Who's going to be the fastest? Can anybody stop Cam Peterson? Because I have not seen anybody come close this weekend.
I mean, so far this weekend, nobody's been close. It looks like he's the class of the field, and hopefully, the other guys don't want to see him like he has the last couple races, get a good start and check away. So, hopefully like a Travis Wyman, Corey Alexander, somebody like that can get the whole shot and, not let Cam Peterson get in a rhythm early and get away.
There's somebody that has been fast. You mentioned him, Travis Wyman. Look for him on the 10 out there. Travis Wyman Racing, BMW. Pretty solid effort in qualifying, qualifying on that front row, putting himself between Peterson and Corey Alexander, who's going to try and keep Cam Peterson from taking the championship this weekend before he even head to Laguna Seca.
He's been fast ever since the first practice. Last race he was fast too, but I think he'll be on the podium today.
A 13-lap race for the Stock 1000s. Green means go. Let's do this. Find out. Cam Peterson going to start on that pole position. His outside right. He gets a nice sweeping into that first turn. It's turn 2 when things start to choke down.
Yeah, this turn 2 is really tight, especially all these guys getting bottled up.
Alexander on the inside there. You see Mesa trying to drive around on the outside. Is that Girardo?
It was.
Girardo getting aggressive early on. Hey, if you're going to make passes, do it early and then put it up. Then it's everybody else's job to get by you. But if you put yourself there into third, that's a good job by Girardo. 1 and 2. It looks like Wyman into second behind Peterson. More lefts than right around this course. A counterclockwise circuit, kind of opposite of what the IndyCars did when they run the road course here. So put a lot of Dunlop rubber. Taking a look from the Lucas Oil helicopter from up above. One of our 2 straights here. This is kind of the back straight, a much shorter version than the front straight.
You can see Cam Peterson already starting to kind of get away a little bit at the front.
And he needs to do that, right? Especially this first lap. You don't want to let Travis Wyman to get that toe coming down the front straightaway. If Wyman can kind of hang on, it'll actually help him being in second. He can kind of get sucked in just a little bit to Cam Peterson.
Especially the guys behind Wyman are starting to dice it up a little bit, so they could start going back and forth and slowing each other up, and he can maybe, just stay close to Cam and just follow him as long as possible and try to, just use him as that carrot in front of him and just keeping him as close as he can in his sight.
If you're Cam Peterson, you also know you have a Honda Superbike race, and several of these guys do that run not only the stock 1000s, but they run that stock 1000 bike in the Honda Superbike. It's kind of a race inside the race. They call it the Superbike Cup. First time around, a 1 second advantage for Cam Peterson. He had purple on every sector except for sector 4, and that's where Wyman knew he needed to close in, and that's where he might have got a little bit of the draft if he was able to grab a hold of it.
And plus, we know the BMWs.
What did you see?
He went over the second white line.
Okay, so let's talk about that, and we'll see it on entry and exit 2 down that front straightaway. There are 2 lines painted on there, one on entry, one on exit. You can cross one line, but you can't cross the other, and that's in the interest of safety, and it kind of gives them that visual marker.
Yeah, it was on the outside of 3, so we'll see what they decide to do. He didn't really gain any time there, but definitely went across it.
And when you do it once, it's one thing, but second and third, we've seen them earlier in practice and qualifying where guys get pulled in. They might black flag them if they see them go outside that second line more than once. Cam Peterson, Travis Wyman, Max Girardo, Corey Alexander, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Stefano Mesa sneaking in the picture right there. Alex Dumas. Dumas has worked his way by. Dumas was 6th that last time around. Looks like he's worked up into 5th.
Dumas was a couple seconds quicker this morning than he went yesterday, so I knew he had the pace to, go up there and fight for the podium. But Corey Alexander on my cheats. Here's look. You see the first line. There's the second one.
Okay, so that's the line he can. And just behind him, Wyman was staying underneath. Wyman noticed that too, because if anybody, he wants to get more run out of that turn, and he didn't do so. So what do they do if you're the MotoAmerica crew? Is it a slap on the wrist for one time? You couldn't have an accident possibly, but you can't be a repeat offender.
No, but look at Travis Wyman. He's starting to kind of close the gap. Here's Corey.
Oh, no. Mechanical. Something's not right with that Kawasaki, and this could be the championship, isn't it? If he has 25 more points, or looking at this race, he could possibly lose 25 points to Cam Peterson. I feel for him. He's just heartbroken right now. He sees the championship hopes go out the window, and he doesn't even have a race tomorrow to compete in to try and get redemption. Travis Wyman is holding on to Cam Peterson. An excellent job by him. There's that race for 3rd. Girardo, Dumas.
Mesa's starting to sneak in there in that battle for 3rd also.
Mesa, and it might be maybe getting used to those tires. Sometimes guys don't want to take any chances early on.
Also, Mesa, the last time he was on his 600, so it might be taking him a couple laps to get used to the 1000.
We haven't talked about that. Stefano Mesa doing double duty this weekend, and he literally been stepping off one bike and into the other. Haven't seen him in the 600 class on the national level at MotoAmerica. He has been racing it locally and regionally. There's the Mesa 37, the Moto Bandito. Stefano from North Carolina, got a Canadian just in front of him.
Travis Wyman that lap was 0.6 quicker than Cam Peterson at a 38.9.
And once again, Wyman holding on to the fastest sector in sector 4. And look at his miles per hour. Down the front straightaways where they do that trap. 173 versus Cam Peterson's 170. The BMW is fast, and he's got the draft to work with. He can use that slipstream. That's why it was so important for Cam to break him. And look at him right there. You see with our Lucas Oil helicopter how he's able to close in. I love these way up shots. You can see how much that white bike closes in on the Alta Suzuki.
And you'll see it again after they go through these, these switchbacks here. There'll be another little straightaway, and you'll see he'll be able to close up again.
The thing that seems crazy, though, is the last time we saw Cam Peterson was when? In the Honda Superbike class at Barber, and he was having to race against full Superbikes, and he was losing ground, but he wasn't losing that much ground. This is basically a stock BMW just behind him that is making up ground on Peterson. Well, unfortunately, Corey Alexander, the man who sits 2nd in championship points, is out of this race. Jamie Howe, I hate to welcome you into our show, especially having to talk with Corey.
Well, you can feel the disappointment down here. Corey, when you're out there on the bike, what indications did you have something was wrong?
Yeah, I just wanted to turn 1 that lap, and the rear kind of locked up a little bit, and then went into turn 2 and just had no power. So kind of Not sure what's going on, but yeah, definitely frustrating. My guys been working really hard to try to get me a setup to be a little more competitive so far this weekend, and we just never got there so far. So hopefully we go to our other bike for Superbike and have some fun, and it is what it is.
How do you brush off the disappointment to be able to put your helmet back on and get on a bike to ride in another class? How do you push that disappointment behind you?
You know, we're still at Indy, so you know you have to enjoy it while we're here, and just fortunate enough to still be out here racing. You know, so like I said, it's definitely frustrating that this is where we're at right now, but gonna go out and try to make the most of it the rest of the weekend for sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Corey, and yeah, it's not like he's going to be like Stefano Mesa and hop on a 600. He's got to get that bike ready if he's going to run in the Honda Superbike class and still compete in that Superbike Cup.
He had the right attitude, though. You know,
Yeah.
Can't change it now. It's too late. Just keep looking forward and get ready for the Superbike race.
As a rider before, it's something that you have no control over. We saw it in other classes, even earlier today. Say a transponder going out on the rider's bike. The rider himself is just tore up because he can't do a thing, and that hurts you the most. Take a look back through the pack. It's Alex Dumas and Max Girardo. That's the race for third. Stefano Mesa, the third rider in that picture. Girardo, the 141. International. Boy, we got some flavor going here. An American, an Uruguay, and a Canadian. South African out in front. And when I talk about out in front, I mean barely. He was only a tenth quicker at the stripe than Travis Wyman that last time around. I'm glad to see Alex Dumas. Unfortunately, he got into a wreck at the ridge, and he didn't really have anything to do with it. Went down, broke his elbow, and we wondered if he'd come back. But I think the crew around him did the right thing by keeping him out of the next few races.
Definitely, being as young as he is, you know, he wasn't really in the championship battle, so, you know, it's better to take a couple weeks off, get healed, to be 100% fit, to not make it worse, where, you know, being a young guy like him, he's got his whole career ahead of him, and, you know, there was nothing really to gain to come back and rush that injury where you could have make it worse, or for the long term could really hurt him. So
18 years old. I mean, your career's all in front of you. I mean, he's a two-time champ, and he's still only 18 years old.
Especially a guy, I mean, look how much he's learned this year on the 1,000. From just the first couple races, he was on the podium and starting to battle for wins there, and everybody was kind of keeping their eye on him in the class because they knew he was coming. And you know, it's kind of cool. Yesterday, he, you know, just took it easy, you know, being smart, just getting the laps in. And then, you know, today he woke up feeling pretty good and thought he could go faster.
Now, what in the wide world of sports has been going on with Travis Wyman? Because he looks like a totally different racer than we've seen the entire year. He's looked good at times. He's looking great right now staying with Cam Peterson. Look at the first and second up at the top or middle of your screen. Second or third, fourth, and fifth just behind. A great shot there. Travis, he doesn't look like the same Travis, and not that that's bad, but I mean, he looks exceptional today.
And it's not because Cam Peterson is off his pace. Cam Peterson's going fast, and, you know, Travis Wyman has just found a lot of time this race, you know, like over a second quicker than he's been all weekend.
And at pit race, he did have his lone podium appearance, finished third in race number 2. But today, he's trying to better that by 1 by 2. We actually have a pass at the stripe. Coming across that time by 1/100th of a second is Travis Wyman ahead of Cam Peterson.
That BMW's fast.
Yeah, it is. Now, but we'll also get to see what that Suzuki do, and there's the racecraft of Peterson. He didn't like that Wyman got him at the stripe. But I was wondering if that was the case coming down that front straightaway, would we see if Peterson could pull by in the draft? He almost kind of needs to know and test it for a lap or two.
Travis did the right thing, though. He doesn't want Cam to get in his rhythm and get away. Travis wants to get up there and control the, you know, the pace of the race. You can see just
how much ground he made up.
And gets him right at the finish line.
1/100th of a second. Pretty impressive. I am surprised, though, a Cam that got him back really quickly. I was surprised that he didn't just go ahead and see one time, because you know Wyman was going to try and haul that lap. One time, just see what it would be like if I have to race this guy to the stripe, and could I pull out of that draft? Were you surprised at that at all, or do you figure, hey,
no, I think he
leave?
just wants to set the pace. Look, he's already pulled out over, you know, half a second since he took over the lead. I think, you know, Cam wants to attack as soon as possible and control the race at the front.
So he was controlling it early, but he wasn't pushing it, I have a feeling. If he pulled out that much, maybe he says, I've got to go a little bit harder. And we've seen he seemed to have a little bit more in the tank. When we'd see him in stock 1000, he would turn incredible times. when he would go out there in the Honda Superbike on the same bike, he would find more speed, Roger.
But also, we've seen him all year do the lap times he does the whole race. He's so consistent, where we've seen a lot of the other guys can do the lap times for the couple laps, but then they start to fall off.
Peterson, Wyman, 1 and 2. There's the race for third. Alex Dumas, M4X Star Suzuki, number 16, leading that pack. He's worked his way up from, I believe, the third row. You see Max Girardo out of Uruguay in the Tango Racing Kawasaki, the second rider in that picture. Another Kawasaki just behind him, the ZX-10 of Stefano Mesa. Mesa in fifth. Danilo Lewis, the Brazilian, in sixth. Ashton Yates in seventh. And Joe Giannotto rounding out the top 8. Question earlier was jump start for the 21, so that's unfortunate for Corey Heflin. Corey Heflin right now running in 13th, so he'll have a penalty assessed to him. That's what he did not want to see. Roger, I want to hit you up on a question, because earlier today it started out warmer than it was the prior day, but it stayed at that temperature. Things were cooler. Tires were not lasting for some of these other bikes. This is the first time we've seen at race pace bikes. Some of them may be on a softer option tire, and there were questions whether this tire would last.
And this track is really sensitive to the temperature. Some tracks, even when it's cold, it still has really good grip or hot. And here, when the track doesn't have really high temperature, the soft tire really chews up and doesn't have the grip. Where now, I think the track temperature is higher than it was yesterday, especially with the sun coming out. So those people that went with the soft tire, I think they're definitely going to be able to make it to the end.
And we have had cloud cover pretty much the entire time. Some blue skies starting to peek through. Things are starting to warm up. Lap 8 of 13 now complete. We've got 5 more to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the racing capital, the home of MotoAmerica, for stop number 8 of 9. This is the only time you'll see the stock 1000s, purely stock 1000s racing. You'll see these guys in the Honda Superbike racing in the Superbike Cup a little bit later. They've kind of dropped Stefano Mesa just a touch, but Alex Dumas, it'd be good for him to come back out and, in his first race get a podium. I mean, that would be good, and he's still not 100%.
That, taking all that time off, you got to come back and build some confidence. Not only had the crash that broke his elbow, but he had a couple others that weekend at the Ridge as well. So he's such a, young, talented rider, and, like you said, he's won the championship in every class that he's been in, and he's going to have a bright career ahead of him. So it's glad to see him come back and approach the weekend, not try to go too fast on the first day and just chip away at it. And, when the race came, he's ready to go. See that gap between himself and Girardo. Girardo coming off of, 5th and 6th place finishes at the last 2 stops. A consistent top 5 guy, but Dumas, until he went out, was a consistent top 3 guy. I mean, he just kept improving week after week after week, and we've seen the patience that rider has. It shows you that he's okay with leading. We've seen him okay following and trying to make a pass later on in the race. It's also really cool to see Girardo up there in 4th battling for the podium. We haven't seen that all year too, so I always like it whenever there's a new guy who gets their first podium or whatever. So it's cool to see him up there battling it out and how much he's going to get to learn and to be racing with Alex. View from the Lucas Oil helicopter. Somebody going down. Oh, rider down. It looks like Cook. Yeah, the rider 81, Jeremy Cook out of Pasadena, Maryland. Jeremy Cook Racing, and he was having some problems earlier today and in free practice, and then they just continued here in the race. Let's take a look at what happened to Jeremy Cook, and that bike is not light by any means. Just on the brakes, we talked about there's a couple bumps on the brakes, and looks like the same way how Cam crashed yesterday in the qualifier. Well, things heating up out in front with Cam Peterson with 4 laps to go. Has Travis Wyman, if he had rearview mirrors in his rearview mirrors, he's 0.6 of a second behind. But Jamie Howe down trackside, things are heating up on the track as well.
They are. When we started this race, the track temperature was still at 80 degrees, but over the course of it, we're already up to 86 degrees. And even though the clouds are coming and going, it's not expected that the track temperature will fall anymore. So using that softer option tire should be a bigger plus now for all of the teams because they're not expecting it to wear off.
And this being the first race of 5, thank you, Jamie. This being the first race of 5, Roger, you know the other crews are loving this right now because take that part of the equation out. If it gets warm, the softer option's going to work. Now we get to see what happens with lap traffic and going on that outside Wyman. Not the line that he probably wanted to have, but he had to have. He had to make that pass if he was going to stay.
He had to make the pass because he can't let Cam just pull away. But that was a close one. I mean, it might have been better if he was lined up maybe to go to the inside instead of the outside. But I think he just came up so fast and the closing speeds were so quick. You know, he didn't have a choice.
21 of Corey Heflin. As you see, Alex Dumas and Gerardo, they're still in that battle for the 3rd spot on that podium, and Heflin doesn't want him to get in the way, and he having to deal with that penalty from jumping the start. Is what we were told, but Gerardo really hanging in there. Wonder if he has anything left. Is he just sizing up Dumas? He's been behind him a long time. They both left Stefano Mesa. You see him in the tail end of that picture. But, I mean, looks like Max is going every bit as quick as Dumas. Do you think he's got a little something, or has he noticed something?
I think he has the speed. He looks like he's comfortable. He doesn't look like he's riding too hard. He's sliding around a little bit. But it doesn't look like Alex is holding him up. But, you know, it also doesn't look like he's just barely hanging on. And the thing is, he cannot let, at this point of the race, Alex to get any sort of a gap on him because I think they're too close in speed for him to reel him back in. And now they're going to be coming up into some lappers. And, you know, if Alex makes it through one, he could get that little space that he wants.
Look at the guys up front. There's that race for 3rd back there. And I'm sitting next to and talking with a guy that holds the race lap record around this place. You know how to go fast. If you're Max, where do you try and make that pass on Alex Dumas? Where was your favorite spot?
Trying to get the draft would be up in the turn 1 would be the easiest one if you can get a good enough run out of the last corner. Let's see, Alex is stuck behind a lap here in turn 2 and 3, and it might hold him up just enough where Max can close the gap.
You see that rider kind of getting out of the racing line. It's going to help Dumas because now Dumas clears. Max does not. And a very tight left-hander coming up here. Look at Gerardo. Did he get by? I don't think so. Yep, he did. Went by on that inside. So good job. Now, this is a close race up in front. Last time across the stripe, only 0.3 of a second separated Cam Peterson. When they come back down the front straightaway, the white flag is going to come out. It's kind of one of those now or never for Travis Wyman.
This back part of the track is the part of the track that seems like Travis Wyman's a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm. For sure, and we don't on our time to score, and we don't see the purple sector showing who has the overall fastest in those sectors. But early on, Peterson 1, 2, and 3.
Travis is just struggling a lot in that first sector, losing almost 4 or 5 tenths a lap. So on the last lap here, he cannot let Cam get away. He's going to really figure out that first sector and try to stay closer to him so when they get to the part where he's stronger at, he's close enough to make a move.
All right, there's the draft for the final time before they take the checkered. Cannot lose ground in this section of the course. That's a BMW trailing the Suzuki. Travis Wyman wants to get by Cam Peterson for his first Stock 1000 race here in 2020, and he's got about 3/4 of a lap to do it. You said he needs to stay close in this first sector. He's pretty darn close. This is one of the best we've seen.
Definitely, he only lost a tenth that lap, so he definitely stepped it up in that one. And here's another kind of left, right, left that Travis loses a little bit of time in.
Few more turns to go on this 16-turn circuit. Does he have enough in that BMW to draft down the front? That's got to be the only place he could possibly set him up. And there are guys in front. I don't know that they're going to catch him. It could be close. And you want to talk about a draft. I mean, he's about to have a wall of riders just in front of him as he heads to the front straightaway. Wyman's close. Peterson going for another victory. He's on a streak of 6 in a row.
Wyman's closing in.
Yes, he feels it. He did have a little left in the tank. But he's only got the front straightaway to really pull it off on.
That's going to help Cam Peterson if that guy's in front of him and he can use him as a draft.
Watch this. A few turns remain. Making that left and get that drag race down the front straightaway. I don't think he's going to do it. Cam Peterson's going to get the pull. Here comes Wyman on the white number 10 trying to close in. Cam Peterson, he's not a 6-time winner in a row. Make it 7. Cam Peterson takes the victory, and with that win, and also
battle for the podium.
Corey Alexander, and look at this race. Max does it at the end. Where does he do it? The same place you said. I would try and draft him on the front straight, and Max Gerardo takes the podium. I was going to say Peterson takes the win, but with that, and actually Corey Alexander dropping back, that should clinch the championship for him as well. Checker flag coming out. Peterson, Wyman, Gerardo, Dumas gets pipped at the line. Stefano Mesa and Danilo Lewis. So Cam, you saw his crew pumped. There's some fans out there that are Cam Peterson fans. His goal this year was to win a championship in Stock 1000 Altus Motorsports. I don't know what kind of deal he has, but he got the most exposure than anybody, I think, this year, because he has taken a bike that didn't win last year and won with regularity this year. Look at this race to the line, that battle for third place. Max timed it perfectly.
It looks like Alex made that shift right there at the end, and it kind of slowed his momentum.
I mean, it really, at the end, it wasn't close. It was, I mean, it was and it wasn't. It was a full bike length.
You can see how Max has got his butt off the seat a couple inches trying to get more aerodynamic.
All about that tuck, right? He's happy, isn't he?
And he did it right. I tell you all the time, when you pull out the draft, it's important not to go too far to the left. And he just, went perfect, just a little bit to the left and got by him.
How about that? So congratulations, the Argentine, Mauricio Hidalgo. So Central American and South American riders congratulating each others. That is pretty cool. Tango Racing's going to party tonight. Alex Dumas, just another learning. Just another
I don't know
step.
if Alex maybe thought he had a bigger gap than he did, because he kind of slowed up a little bit that last lap into the 41s, and
Max didn't show his cards either. I said that. Does he have something there? He did not show his cards. I think that came out of nowhere, because we know that bike's fast, that M4 XR Suzuki of Dumas. But when you're talking about a draft and nobody showed you, that they could slipstream you never know.
And I don't know if Alex made a mistake the last lap, because all the laps in that he was doing all in the 40s, pretty consistent, and that one he was off a little bit.
And taking that shift at that point, was he too low coming out? Was he, did he miss a shift coming out? We'll have to ask him. Some jubilation, some thank you, Lord, from Cam Peterson. I'm happy for that guy.
I'm happy for him as well. And if anybody deserves it, it's him.
He started off the year so well, second and first.
He's had a lot of. He's had to dig deep a couple of times. His career hasn't been, that easy.
No.
He's had to fight back a couple of times, and, almost gave up a few times, but dug deep, and it's cool to see him get rewarded this year. He's finally put it all together, riding really well on a good bike. He has a good support system around him, and he's showing his potential. And, not only the sacrifice for him, what's going through his emotions right now, the sacrifices that his family has made for him,
no doubt,
for his whole career.
His dad, a famous racer as well, watching on. And think about it, he lost the points battle for a while there at Road Atlanta when he finished 18th. He was going the wrong direction. We saw mechanical issues and things that, honestly, Raj, we didn't know what was going on. I mean, they were kind of disarray that weekend. And since that weekend, he's not lost. He's won 7 in a row. He hasn't, other than that one race, he hasn't finished worse than second, and he only did that twice.
That's why you have good people around you like he has to, bring you back up after a down weekend and let you know you still can do it. And he's done it ever since then. He's never let that get him down. And, he's been not only, besides this race, Travis Wyman rode amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best ride I've seen from him. But, Cam's kind of been class to the field.
There's a lot of good people, and most guys are good people, and there's his rider coach, Josh Hayes. But that is truly one of the good people in the paddock, you know. And there's Melissa, his mechanic. She had some hard times. I mean, honestly, she was in tears back at that Road Atlanta race because she knew that, you know, she's responsible for that bike, and things just weren't going the right way, but they found a way to make it happen.
His fiance recently engaged, and also it's cool for the Haggerty team to finally get a championship, and you know, they're really putting a strong season together, not only in the Super Stock but also in Super Sport and the Superbike Cup.
I think I see a South Half kit ready to be thrown on. Jamie Howe's down there trackside. I will get a word from him in a bit, but I mean, I feel so happy for Cam Peterson, and you know, there's another guy that was in Stock 1000 that started the season like wildfire, and that's PJ Jacobson, that's having to watch this from the sidelines. You know, he had to exit the series after that fire, after his Ducati caught fire. And remember, we heard it. Every time that P.J. Jacobson was talking on the sidelines, what did he say? Cam Peterson's name. Every single time, Roger.
He knew it. And once he got some confidence, he got some things figured out, Cam Peterson's pretty much been on the roll. You've said it. You know, the last couple of races kind of been, you know, the class of the field.
What does this mean? I mean, you can see he's tearing up. He's thinking about it. I mean, when you're on the bike.
I mean, he's worked his whole life for this moment, you know, so it means a lot. All the sacrifices he's made, his family makes, and, you know, this is what it's all about.
And to do it in convincing fashion. Qualified on pole for today's race. There were only 2 races this year that he did not qualify on pole, and those were, again, second-place qualifiers. That's strong.
I guess now the question is, what's next?
I was going to go there because he has a Hunto Superbike where he's got 3 races still this weekend, Roger. Hunto Superbike running 2 races tomorrow. He's trying to win that Superbike Cup as well, that race within the race with the Stock 1000s. And I didn't know what that bike could do here at Indy. We thought that he may be at a deficit, or we know he will be against the Hunto Superbikes because of that front straightaway and that other straightaway. But what we saw out of him at Barber, and just showing how he can be, how competitive he can be on that Altus Motorsport Suzuki. And again, the M4 team, that's where they get the engine from. You know, they're the ones that helped develop that, and he's been up there battling. Great job by Travis Wyman, but he's been out there battling with Tony Elias and Bobby Fong on factory equipment.
This weekend hasn't been, this track doesn't really suit the super stock bike as well as, say, Barber, because it's definitely got a lot of straightaways here, and it's a lot longer and stuff like that. So the super stock guys are a little bit further off, but, you know, we've seen Cam before, when the Superbike race comes around, drop a second.
No doubt. Travis Wyman, you see him congratulating his best finish last year, 3rd place, I believe, at stop number 2 this year. He gets on the podium a 2nd today, and he's still got Laguna Seca to think about at the next round. Wow, what a day so far at our first race of 5 this afternoon. Jamie Howe, I wish I were in your shoes right now talking with our podium.
It was 8 wins on the season so far, 7 consecutive for Cameron Peterson. The signboard, it said P1 2020. The championship to you, how do you put it into words?
I'm a little bit lost for words, you know. I know it's a stock championship. It means a lot to me, you know. I've been working for this my whole life, and yeah, to be able to hold up an AMA #1 board is pretty special, and man, I'm so happy. I can't thank the whole team enough. You know, they've stuck by me through this year, and they've done some amazing work and given me a machine that I can win on every weekend. And if it wasn't for them, you know, I don't think I'd be here. It was beginning of the season, I was scratching my head, didn't have a ride, and you know, they stepped up last minute and brought me onto the team, and here we are 8 months later. We made it happen. We got the #1 play, and so happy my family's here as well. You know, I got my fiance, my sister, my mom. Unfortunately, my dad couldn't make it, but man, what a special weekend, and yeah, I can't wait for Sunday night.
We've talked all season about this being a growth year for you. Who are you now versus who you were at the start of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've grown a lot this year. You know, I'm so lucky to have Melissa and Josh in my corner. They teach me so much, and yeah, just getting this confidence back, I think, it's kind of reshaped my riding a little bit. You know, I think I lost my way there a little bit a few years ago, and this year it's kind of come back to me, and I'm having so much fun. So, man, I'm gonna enjoy this one.
It's Cameron Peterson, our 2020 Stock 1000 champion. Let's go over to Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm just hearing that applause sink in for Cam Peterson, but the man who kept him honest and made sure if he was going to win the title, he's going to have to work for it. Boy, we thought those back markers might come into play. Travis, on the last lap, how was it? Tell us.
You know, the last few laps there, I was really kind of struggling for grip, and I pushed as hard as I could, man. I knew I had horsepower on Cam, but you know, he was getting through the last section of track so good. I was like, man, if I'm not right on his butt coming off the last corner, I don't think I got it. And lap traffic definitely came into play. It was difficult, and I kind of caught him at the worst times going into turn one, man. One time I kind of got sucked into the draft, and I was like, oh man. But you know, I gave it all I could. Hats off to Cam. Hats off to my team, man. Steve Weir, Alex Torres, BMW North America, my mom, Harv Charlie Davidson, Keith Code, the California Superbike School. Man, everybody that's worked so hard to make this happen. Staying up here at Indy on the podium is great. I've done it before. I finished third a handful of years ago on the Harleys, and standing up here second is awesome, but I think we need to come back next year and get on that top step.
Great race. Well done, Travis. Over to you, Jamie, with the happiest man in the Brickyard.
It was certainly another emotional finish for Max Girardo. Only his second career Stock 1000 race, finished third today. We're going to go through his translator. Ermin, what was the biggest key in making that pass for today?
Okay. We are really happy to be here. We have really hard work these 40 days far away from home. He is from Uruguay. The team is from Argentina. And I think the key is the hard work of Ezequiel Martinez, our technical, and Rodrigo Vidobro, Mauricio Hidalgo, Miquel Rodriguez. And we are really happy to be here. It's like a dream for us in the second race, make a podium with Maxi.
We watched that dream come true. Congratulations on the podium finish.
Thank you very much.
There's that proud South African flag over the shoulders of Cam Peterson, one of many South African riders we have in our field. Race number one. Good launch by Corey Alexander on that inside. Max Girardo was being very aggressive as well, and for good reason. He needed to get out front. Cam Peterson really didn't want to let go of that lead, did he, Roger?
No, he didn't, and you know, he rode good, put his head down, tried to get away, but you know, Travis Wyman rode great and rode him back in. Unfortunately for Corey Alexander, had a mechanical after the second lap and had to pull in. And Travis right here using the power of the BMW to try to take the lead and set the pace, but Cam wasn't having it.
He waited all of one turn before he took that lead back, and again, he could always reach back and find a little extra, and he did so today. Alex Dumas, boy, he was in a hornet's nest as Cam Peterson come across just ahead of Travis Wyman. Look at this, at the line, Max Girardo gets by Alex Dumas by one bike length. So yeah, a new national champion in Cam Peterson, a new podium finisher in Max Girardo, and Travis Wyman one spot away from taking his first victory in Stock 1000. Sign him up. 45 of Cam Peterson, first one to sign that down there. And you know, I've gotten a few shirts and hats and things through the years as our Superbikes at the Brickyard. I get to talk to some of those winners like that as you see the final results, and I ask them that I want to be that first guy that gets the autograph and get them to write champ or something like that on it. It's a pretty cool thing because they don't even really know how to write it. Just take a look at our finishing results. What a feeling.